Well, thanks for joining us, everybody, here at Twin Spires. Darin, Zoccali, and James Scully to preview the Jeff Ruby Stakes. James, this is a race that's getting a nice little purse boost this year, up to $600,000, getting a primetime spot in the Derby prep season, primetime with points as well. This is a race that is rich in tradition, rich in history, and it's also rich in a lot of different names. Spiral Stakes, Jim Beam's had a lot of sponsors, but also several really marquee horses have gone through Turfway Park on the way to not just Louisville, but outstanding careers as well as racehorses.
Yeah, even Mattress Mac owned Turfway Park once upon a time, and they ran the race as the GalleryFurniture.com Spiral Stakes. So you're right. Second year, the Jeff Ruby Stakes, Grade 3 Jeff Ruby Stakes has been a major qualifier for the Derby, giving out 100 points to the winner. And two Kentucky Derby winners have come out of it. It used to be on dirt. So when Lily T won it in 92 and then won the Derby, it was on dirt. And that was actually his next to last prep for the Derby. When American Kingdom won it in 2010, it was a synthetic track. It was actually poly track. It's Tapeta now, but he won it on a synthetic, then went and won the Derby on the dirt at Churchill Downs. So those two, obviously give it a lot of credibility. And then, you'll have horses like Hansel, Preakness and Belmont winner, Summer Squall and Prairie Bayou both won the Preakness after winning the Jim Beam or whatever it was that time when they won it. And in 2007, Heartspun won the race and then came back and finished second to Street Sense in the Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, so a lot of big-time horses have come through Florence, Kentucky to go on and have outstanding careers in three-year-old seasons. This year, a lot of synthetic and turf horses, so it remains to be seen what the exact impact will be on the Derby, but there is definitely some tremendous talent in this field. Interesting from a pace scenario, James. Royal Spirit down to the inside, you have to figure will probably be forwardly placed. Great Escape stretched out and showed speed last time at Oaklawn. And of course, you have Dowajack Chief, who took them out wire to wire in the Black Gold Stakes. They seem to be the three speed types. I'm not sure if any of them are complete burners on the front end, but they should ensure a relatively good clip up front, I would think.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody, winging it like you were saying, but there's a very good chance that there'll be two or three horses together on the front end. It will be a contested pace that isn't just an easy lead for whoever's out there. And the way that the track's been playing at Turfway, you can win on the lead, you can win from mid-pack, you can win from the back of the field. So in a mile and an eighth, I'm anticipating a fair setup.
One of the matchups in this race that certainly jump off the page, it's a rematch of Stolen Base and Tiz the Bomb, the 1-2 finishes of the Battaglia Memorial. You could probably argue that Stolen Base might have had the tougher trip there and might have actually been a little bit better that day. They finished a neck apart on the wire. Tiz the Bomb might actually be using this race to prep for a trip overseas and return to turf, which is a fascinating development for Kenny McPeak. But these two coming out of the Battaglia is nothing really to knock, except you're not going to find much value on the tote board.
Exactly. And this will be the third time that these two rivals, Tiz the Bomb and Stolen Base, have squared off. They met last year in the Bourbon, the Grade 2 Bourbon on the turf at Keeneland, separated by less than a length that day with Tiz the Bomb winning. They both came into the race, both proven like turf form, and ran a huge race. It was interesting because I sort of had Stolen Base having a little bit more tactical foot and perhaps getting first run on Tiz the Bomb. But Hernandez, I thought, made a little bit of an earlier move, and that wound up being the right one because he got the jump on Stolen Base. They hooked up for that final 16th, Darin, really went, head and head to the wire. And my real question is, how much more do they have to give off of that race?
Yeah, I think that's certainly a fair question. And a horse that actually defeated Stolen Base in his most recent start, Red Run, shows up. He won the Texas Turf Mile for Steve Asmussen. Now, Asmussen has not actually won a race at Turfway Park this meet, which is rather fascinating. He's 0 for 24, but he is bringing in a horse that's coming in off a win over a major player. Obviously, the question will be the synthetic surface, but Red Run off that last effort, you have to at least pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with Stolen Base, it was the same kind of situation. He was making his first stakes start off of a good third at Sam Houston in a turf stake. So if Red Run carries that form forward, I thought that Texas Turf Mile was, a career best effort for him. Stolen Base was the, was lower odds than him, but he had Rosario that day. He had a big run, gets Talamo here. And, one of several contenders. I think you could make a case for nearly half the field, Darin.
And part of that could be a California invader. Drew poorly to the far outside by the name of Blackadder, the El Camino Real Derby winner. Of course, that race produced the Preakness winner just last year, so we have to certainly make note of that race. And we know he can get over a synthetic track as well. Not the best of draws, a new barn, but Blackadder certainly adds some intrigue to the field as well.
Yeah, and he's now in Rudolph Brisnet. A lot of these Bob Baffert horses we've seen going to Tim Yaktine and staying in Southern California. Blackadder's been in Kentucky, for a few weeks at least. Has a work at Keeneland in preparation. He's a real one-run closer, and I give him credit for winning after breaking his maiden, winning that El Camino Derby. But that race fell apart a little bit, I thought, in the stretch. McKinnon looked like he had it and just sort of got real short stride. And I just don't know if he's going to be fast enough to handle this competition. And he's got to overcome that outside post, Darin.
Yeah, absolutely. James, you're giving the look to a horse that is returning to Turfway Park after venturing to the fairgrounds in Tawny Port, who obviously caught everybody's attention with his first 2 wins of the meet and obviously gets over the synthetic Tapeta surface beautifully. This is an interesting move. They took the horse away from Turfway, even though there were a couple of Derby preps over a surface that he showed to love. Maybe they wanted to see how he responded to conventional dirt. Ran in the Risen Star, split the field of 10 behind Epicenter, who obviously came back to show he's a leading Derby contender. And now he comes back to Turfway, where we all know he loves the Florence, Kentucky Oval.
Yeah, and Tawny Port, he's the son of Pioneer of the Nile. He has pretty solid pedigree. He sold for $430,000 as a yearling. I think, obviously, Brad Cox in his barn left him at Turfway Park over the winter, didn't take him to Fairgrounds or Oaklawn, where they also have string. So really not a positive sign in that light. But I would think, maybe they thought he'd run well at first asking, but I think he perhaps surprised them a little bit, winning by 6.5 lengths like he did. Real powerful performance. Came back and won an entry-level allowance by a neck in January. And I thought in that Risen Star, he was really thrown to the wolves that day. It was a huge step up. And he looked like he was going nowhere on the backstretch in 9th. You referenced he passed about half the field, finishing 5th that day. I think that's really a race for him to move forward on. And I'm sort of encouraged that Cox kept him at Fairgrounds after that. He's got 4 works in preparation. He worked a half mile and that 3 straight 5 furlong drills, including a minute and 2/5 in preparation. So I think he's really coming on for this Brad Cox, top trainer. And in his second stake start, he has something going for him, Tawny Port.
Yeah, he'll definitely be on my tickets. My top selection is Cabo Spirit, a different California invader. I just don't think this is a dirt horse. I think this horse has excelled on the grass in Southern California. His best speed figures, his best performances came over the turf surfaces at Del Mar, at Santa Anita. He had a run behind horses like Messier and Forbidden Kingdom in the last 2 on a surface that I don't think is preferred. The damn side of his pedigree is Chamardal. It's all European turf influence. This horse going over to the synthetic surface is a question mark, but he got over the turf just fine. And I think he's just been chasing some really good horses in Southern California, gets away from them here, and he might escape at what could be a square price. And I love the addition of Jersey Joe Bravo on board.
Yeah, considering only 3 Kentucky Derby contenders this year have earned triple-digit Brisnet speed ratings, and 2 of the 3 are Messier and Forbidden Kingdom. Cabo Spirit has been in some extremely tough races. I agree with you. He's a turf runner. If he carries that turf form to the synthetic track, he's a logical contender on paper. Really interesting, Darin, because a lot of the horse that wins this race, maybe even the runner-up, their connections may opt for the Derby. A lot of these other horses, they could be pointing for the American turf on the Derby undercard at Churchill Downs. So just a matter of how it plays out, whether or not some of these horses stay on the main track or wind up rolling back to turf.
Absolutely, no question. A lot of talent here, whether it be dirt, turf, synthetic. A lot of the horses in here will be stakes winners in the not too distant future. Tawny Point for James, Cabo Spirit for myself. That's a look at the Jeff Ruby Stakes this Saturday at Turfway Park. Wish you the best of luck. Make sure you watch and wager with Twin Spires, and don't forget, participate in that Twin Spires $100,000 leaderboard contest. As the horses that you wager on earn points, you earn points, and you climb up that leaderboard to try to stake your claim to a share of $100,000 all the way through Derby prep season. So we will see you again next time. Best of luck in the Jeff Ruby Stakes. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.